One. Hey, it's 10 o'clock. We might as well get started. Appreciate everything. I think now, what do we do for an attorney today? He's on the phone. Okay. All right, very good. And so today's a special meeting. And that means we don't usually have a prayer for that, but I have asked Paul if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if we'd all stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, hope everybody's enjoying the weather today. It's a welcome change. It seems like it's finally starting to feel a little like fall or elk hunting to me, same thing. We need more summer. We need more heat. We need a dry wind. Yeah. Okay, well, Maren, look at you. Excited to get involved right off the bat with item 2A, information discussion action to adopt revised attachments to resolution number 250801 as follows. Attachment titled County, Cities, Schools, Fire Departments Revised 8/26/25 to reflect correct tax information for the Gila Valley Fire District, and number 2, attachment titled Special Districts Revised 8/26/25 to reflect correct tax information for Whispering Pines, DWID, Domestic Water Improvement District. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Supervisor Humphrey, Supervisor Klein. The day after we adopted tax rates last week, we got the information from one of our districts, and the other one we just used the wrong version of the information we had. So we wanted to bring that information to you today so that we can get this updated and sent over to the Property Tax Oversight Commission for you.
Oh, okay, thank you. And the Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Yeah, Supervisor Klein.
I don't have any questions either.
Yeah, we're just fixing something
Yes,
that wasn't quite
thank
right.
you.
Okay, so with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to adopt revised attachments to resolution number 25-08-01 as follows. Attachment titled County, Cities, Schools, FDSs, I guess that's fire departments, revised 8/26/25 to reflect correct tax information for the Gila Valley Fire District, and 2 attachments titled Special Districts Revised 8/26/25 to reflect correct tax information for Whispering Pines DWID Domestic Water Improvement District.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Maren.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is going to be out of order, number 2C, and that's for logistical reasons. We'll start with, we'll go next to item 2C, information discussion regarding the executive summary and capital project status update for the Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat, including current feasibility, procurement, and in-house maintenance efforts. Morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. The Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat continues to advance multiple capital projects to support long-term sustainability, modern infrastructure, and accessibility for veterans. These initiatives balance preservation of historic structures with new construction designed to expand program capacity and feeds off of the baseline capital project that was completed about a year ago. So I'm going to go through some of these projects relatively quick, but please feel free to ask any questions or clarification as we progress through them. It's a lot of dense information, so I'm going to try and keep it high level. So we currently have 4 projects that are formally submitted to finance for different processes, going through 3-way bid and information requests for some of those projects. We have the first solar and generator projects waiting contracts and execution, and then we have 8 additional projects that are going to be going into it. Now that's just a quick recap. We have several projects that we are looking to execute out there, and a lot of it's going to be focused to the rear of the property in the historic preservation of some of those facilities. Two of them are cabins at the rear that we're going to be focusing on the electrical infrastructure, some of the structural infrastructure, roofing, siding, and then also HVAC at one of them. The other location is going to be preserved as a historic office, so there's limited scope that we're going to be doing there. And then we're also looking at, to the very rear of the property, the historic barn. And there we're going to be doing some electrical upgrades, modernization, and also some structural enhancements to that area. You heard me earlier mention the solar project and some of the electrical. The solar project is going to be able to help support some of our maintenance initiatives up there. We have a maintenance yard that currently has no electrical. We view this as a critical point to be able to establish electrical to support any kind of maintenance needs there, and that's going to be through solar and generator. As we briefly start to talk about generators, we're also looking at supporting a lot of the facilities with generators. Those generators will be able to support the site. As most of the team and community is aware, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to some of the remote locations with stable electrical. Power outages are pretty consistent up there, so establishing these generators will be able to help us support customers, and also, like now, we have some operations up there that we'll be able to support. There's a couple of other smaller projects that we're looking at accomplishing out there. Again, those are the highlights, probably the big ticket items. When it comes to cost, we're still going through that process to establish some of those costs. We're doing everything we can in the background to understand and budget for those, but we don't have any solid costs until it goes through the full cycle for procurement. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions or elaborate on any of it.
Thank you, Joseph. Supervisor Humphrey?
I guess my question would be funding for these projects.
Yes, sir. So most of the funding that's going to be supporting these projects is the grant funding that was pulled in to support this site. One of the big highlights out of this, and pardon me missing it, is we are networking with an architect and engineer design firm to design a multi-purpose facility and also additional cabins. That's also worth noting, and again, it's also tied to the similar funding.
Okay, and so that grant funding is pretty much going to cover most of these projects?
Good morning, Supervisor,
Good morning.
members of the board. To be a little bit more specific, the funding for this comes from two different sources. We received a $3 million line item budget from the state of Arizona, which was signed by Governor Hobbs, which gave us $3 million to use for construction on this site. And we also received a $333,000 earmark federal grant with a 25% match, which comes to be about, if you add the 25% match, that Gila County has to do about $420,000. So the total amount we're looking at here is about $3,420,000 to get all of these projects done, as well as build the ADA compliant cabin, which we received that money from the federal government. So that $333,000 plus 25%, all of that has to go towards the cabin itself. That can't be used for any other project, but the $3 million can be used for any of these construction projects. I hope that clarifies that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein?
Thanks, you guys, for working with this and putting this all together. So I have a question, but it's probably more for Marin than it is for either one of you. But where's our timeline on getting these contracts out, Marin, and getting these awarded?
Mr. Chair, at the beginning of calendar year 2025, we had about a 152-day turnaround on our contracts. We have gotten that down to about 43 days right now. The lag right now is catching up on the 106 contracts that we're processing from the beginning of the new fiscal year. So we are making our way through the process, and each department, facilities, public works, etc., receives a weekly update of where their contracts are in the process.
Okay, and so while I got you on some of these projects, like Joseph has mentioned and things like that, particularly one is a gate that's being built there for security purposes
Yes,
and to meet ASIP's requirements.
yes.
when it comes to a certain amount, is there an amount that we can do without going to contract?
Not currently. We will be bringing an updated procurement policy to the board at the November 28th, maybe, whenever that last Tuesday in November is, work session for you to evaluate, and then we'll be bringing it to you hopefully in January for adoption, and it will include additional capacity for those smaller dollar projects.
So in our old policies, we don't have that.
No, we do not, sir. And I know that that is very frustrating.
Yeah, it bites pretty bad, you know. That, and the reason being is we have some things, and this veteran center is one of them right now. You know, we did a chip seal on the roads right there. Well, I'm gonna be talking to Joseph and Michael, but I'm gonna push the fog coat that, which is a nothing project. It's about $10,000 worth of project. And so what you're telling me on that is it would have to go to contracting to get that done.
Right.
And so we're under a time frame with some of these
Okay.
because of the time of year. And that one in particular for that chip seal that was just put down, the weather changes, it gets too cold and we can't put any more oil down, that's what it is.
Right.
So I'll be visiting with you guys and
So for projects under $50,000 that Mr. Menlove can sign, they are somewhat expedited as they don't have to come before the board. But we still have to go through the full process.
yeah, we need to work on some policies. Thank you, Marion.
You're welcome, Mr. Klein.
I don't have a list that I remember seeing of all the various projects sort of embedded in this description here, and their prices and, you know, the electrical and the old houses and things like that, solar. So I don't have a problem going forward with that, but on the handicap cabin, is that going to be a new build, or is that going to be a modification of an existing structure?
Chairman, members of the board, that's going to be a new build. So we do have in the procurement pipeline right now, we do have a contract with a architect to do design and engineering for that particular structure. So it will be a new build.
Do you estimate that we can do that for $420,000?
That's an unknown, sir.
It's an unknown.
Yeah.
Okay. And about where would that go? Have we decided that?
We have agreed on the location
Okay.
near the administration building.
Sure.
Beautiful location, right by a road and right in between several trees. So it's a really nice location.
Okay. And then we do not have fencing around this entire property, do we? Or do we want that?
Currently, we do not have fencing around the entire property. Do we,
Yes,
sir?
we do.
Okay.
It is fenced, and it's just range fence, Steve.
It's, so is this keep free-ranging cattle away or off of the property, or do we want to do that?
No.
For the cleanliness and the various things like that?
So let me back up just a little bit.
I'm not asking, it's.
Yeah, these guys ain't, they
The
won't, they're not gonna know. So when it was withdrawn from the system back in the 30s, 40s, it was withdrawn from the public lands management system. And so it was fenced. And it was fenced with the intent that it would be used as an administrative site that would be home to livestock, have residents on it, barns on it, corrals on it, all that kind of stuff. So there's a range fence that goes around it. So as far as keeping cattle off of it for the most part, or whatever it is, yeah, we need to manage that. But what we also need to manage is it's 232 acres of dried out grass and weeds and stuff. So, you know, we can manage that by having the neighbor put a few cows in it or me put a few cows in it from the back or whatever. But when it comes to the survey and the actual site, the 232 acres, it has a boundary. It just has yet to be surveyed. Does that answer it?
Yes. And so I predict that someday we'll come up with a plan on how to handle ranging cattle, whose cattle they are going to be, you know, and all the different ramifications of that, and whether we're gonna have gates, and I get that. We should buy some goats. That,
Just don't buy sheep, that caused the first war in the valley.
yeah, that's bad in that area, I hear, so. Now, when it comes to the historic renovations, or should I say of the 3 items listed as historic, the barn and the 2 houses, and whatever else may be there, is there any attention being given to how those restorations are going to be done with the consideration of the historic value of them? Because there should be guidelines for that.
Chairman, Board of Supervisors, that's a great question. Yes. So we're questioning qualifications for some of the contractors for some of the work. There's some work that's not going to be, we don't predict a high impact to the facility, so we can go in there and directly do some of that infrastructure work. But anywhere that we know we're going to be touching or even coming close to the preservation of that, that's why we're requesting qualifications. So we're getting contractors that are very familiar with this type of work and will be able to support some of those projects.
Okay, because to me it's important. I'm kind of that way, and don't make it worse. It's probably got some stuff on it already, but those are beautiful buildings that need to have the consideration of what color they're going to be and whether or not we're going to wipe out stuff like the old windows or whatever, and how much stuff gets thrown away during a modernization. So the state of Arizona does have information and organizations that you can work with on historic preservation without necessarily listing it. I don't want you to list it, because then that creates a whole nother layer of issues down the road. But we can certainly follow guidelines on how to do that stuff, I think.
Yes, sir.
So I'm hopeful that we can do that, and I'm all for restoring them. First thing we should do, though, is get them to where they're not deteriorating. So the roof, the rodents, the foundation, whatever, before we worry about what color they're going to be.
Yes, sir. We'll certainly keep it as a high priority.
Okay.
So if I may, Chairman, it's already listed, it's already on the historical preservation list. And so way back when we started all this, we spent a full day with the State Historical Preservation Office.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, on those sites, and we went through each of those buildings individually. The Forest Service, prior to us taking it, had used those buildings for residences. So they've been worked on inside, and some things changed and everything, to the point where SHPO was not worried about the inside of the buildings. What they insisted on, and it's not a problem, is that we keep the color scheme the same color. We, like the windows you mentioned and the doors, if we do anything there, that has to be matched back to the original type windows and doors that are there. The roofs have to be maintained the same as they are, you know, if we do any new roofing or anything like that. So basically, it's the exterior part of the house and barn that that we're limited on what we're going to be able to do. And I believe Joseph has worked with SHPO on this already, and everybody's on board with it, as far as I know. So.
Well, if they're already listed, you have to.
Yeah.
You have no choice after that. So.
Yes, sir. You're correct.
Okay.
And it'll be a constant communication. So even though we got it shored up now, as we progress through some of these projects, we'll do constant checkpoints with them.
Have we shifted then from taking, and this is grant money that we've received, 3 million and the other 333. Have we shifted from the concept of building a large facility to just taking care of the multiple amounts of things that need to be taken care of as an alternative? Is that a shift that we're making?
Chairman, members of the board, yeah, that's a good question. I had conversations with County Manager Menlove and Supervisor Klein about that. We went over the potential costs for all of these projects, and the plan moving forward, given to staff, is to move forward with the design and engineering of the cabin and the multi-use building while we're getting all these other projects remodeled and fixed up, and see where we're at financially after that, to see if the multi-use building, if there's actually funding available to move forward with the multi-use building. So it's sort of like we'll have the design and engineer plans ready to use at any given time. If in the future, say we don't have enough money to build a multi-use structure, at some point in time, we have benefactors giving us money for the Veterans Retreat. We have not-for-profits. We have organizations out there that donate large chunks of money for the Veterans Retreat and their mission. We could just take that funding, and if the decision is made to move forward with constructing the multi-use facility at that time, we'd have the design and engineering plans available to move forward at any given time.
Okay, so that, yeah, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm trying to conjure up what we're gonna use the multipurpose building for the value, for the amount of money it's gonna cost. So, you know, I think all these other tentacles are important too. I was gonna say, is there an expiration on this money, the $3 million and the $333,000 grant money? Is there an expiration date on any of that?
The $3 million, there is not any expiration on that. We already have received that money from the state. That's already in our bank, so to speak. The $333,000 earmark, there is no expiration date on that as well. The concern with the earmark was with the new administration coming in, whether they were going to claw that back or not. At this time, that is not part of any clawback. So to answer your question, there is no expiration date on either funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So that $3 million, which is really the most flexible part of it, if we don't spend it all right away, we just have it.
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you say that you had another aspect of the presentation today that?
Yes, Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to bring up Michael Ostermeyer. He's the attorney that the county administration has hired outside legal counsel to help us move forward with a licensing agreement with the not-for-profit and some use agreements for people who come to the property to protect the liability from the county and those kinds of issues. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Ostermeyer. And
okay,
let
great.
me know if you need me to. Yes.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Mike Ostermeyer from Ballard's Bar. I will sort of walk through generally the scheme of these agreements, and then happy to answer any questions or provide a roadmap or whatever's helpful to you in looking at these things. So we have 3 agreements. We have a master license agreement with Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat, and then we have 2 sub-license agreements, one for recreational users, which would be individuals staying overnight, presumably, and one for educational users, which would be folks using day use or seminars or corporate type programs. The master license agreement is certainly the most involved of the 3. The end user agreements are considerably more simplified, particularly the recreational user agreement, the agreement with individuals we've tried to keep as simple as possible. But the master license agreement is really shaped by 4 particular fence lines, if you will. One is that we don't want this to be a lease agreement because state law regulates the county's latitude to lease to even nonprofit organizations. So we want to stay clear of the state regulations that limit your ability to lease. We do not want to run afoul of the gift clause, which is a constitutional limitation on the county's ability to donate or subsidize any individual, association, or corporation. We want to, if we can, allow the county to have the benefit of the qualified immunity granted by Arizona law to property owners who permit recreational users and educational users upon their property. And the benefits of enjoying that qualified immunity is that you are immune to suit for your simple negligence, and you aren't subject to liability for any unknown conditions on the property. So to the extent that we can structure the use fees in a way that permits you to enjoy that qualified immunity, that's the third fence line that we're trying to observe. And the fourth is the terms and conditions of the special use permit itself from the Forest Service, which stipulate certain kinds of uses, year-round use to advance veterans programs and benefits. So those are the four things that have sort of fenced in what we're trying to do with this master license agreement. The master license agreement then, as I said, grants to the Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat the right to use this facility, the obligation to manage its booking and use by subsidiary groups, which are on the one hand recreational users as defined by the statute, those individuals who will come on for overnight use, educational users, the day users who will rent the facility for non-overnight purposes. Generally speaking, it simply grants the right to use for a defined period of time for defined uses, which are called permitted rights, and requires the PVVR to maintain insurance, to indemnify the county, to hold the county harmless for liabilities that would be outside of this qualified use immunity grant. There are a number of things, probably more than any common sense person would hope to see in an agreement like this, but yet we are trying to hit a fairly specific target because of those boundaries, and the license itself is a fairly particular kind of a grant, so that you're not creating a lease. You don't want to give the recipient the right to possess the property. You want to be able to recover the property whenever you can, or almost immediately on any violation of the terms. And so in order to do that, we have put in place this license agreement that's rather particular. So rather than go on at length about things that are only interesting to lawyers, why don't I ask if you have any questions about the agreements?
Thank you for that presentation, Supervisor Humphrey.
I get you were hired to create this agreement to help the county in going forward with this process.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay, as we go forward with this establishment, are you going to continue helping us with this project?
Well, that's, I think, at your liberty. I was engaged to
Okay, then
create the
I
agreement,
guess
so.
as we go forward, are we going to continue needing legal advice in this project?
Human nature being what it is, I suspect the answer is probably yes. But this agreement ought to parse the grant to PVVR, their obligations, their right to use, their ability to bring others in to use the property. And so the general structure ought to be here. Will there be things that arise? I suspect that there will be things that arise, particularly as you make improvements to the property and perhaps evolve the particular uses. There may be issues. What those might be, it's a broad and varied world. So, there are who knows what they may be, but there is that possibility. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Klein?
So we're really hoping that we're done with the special use agreement this fall. And so if we are able to get over that hurdle, then are we gonna need to get back with you to revise the master agreement and take all of that out, I would assume?
If that occurs, then this can be skinnied down, yes, sir, to take out the conditions that are related to the Forest Service permit.
Yeah.
Presumably, you will soon behind that become the owners of the property, but the general structure is going to remain in place. We just simply take out the reference to the license, to having to accommodate the Forest Service simultaneous use and occupancy of the property, and all the limitations that are within the special use permit.
Okay. Well, thank you for putting this together. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ostermeyer. So the, going forward, there's going to be a point in time when we're not the board any longer. There'll be new members. And we have to make sure that the usage of this property stays within the parameters of what you're recommending, this, all that. Or we could run afoul of what's going on. So I presume that if we adopt this, then it becomes something that our own legal department would protect as far as we go forward, and that any changes, we would just seek legal advice on that.
I think that's right.
Okay.
I mean, again, these agreements are set up to be sort of self-executing in that you shift to Pleasant Valley the obligation to make sure that all of the terms are observed. But you have the ultimate responsibility on behalf of the county to confirm that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Is your agreement here that you've presented based on any other agreements of a similar nature?
Yeah, actually, yes. The recreational use and the educational use agreements are both based on other agreements I've done for, in the case of the recreational use agreement, several clients who own seasonal housing adjacent to national parks, and so that was really the structure of that agreement. And the educational use agreement represented a number of convention centers who lease this kind of space for day use, and so that one is really based on that. The master license agreement is, in this instance, its own thing, so this is sort of out of whole cloth.
Okay, so, but it's not some historic document that no one's ever seen before. As far as the challenge, we shouldn't face any challenges to this or what we're doing, because what we're doing as a county is not typically done, and so that's why I'm asking that you feel that this is a good protective agreement.
Yes, as I said earlier, you're walking not a tightrope, but you're walking a fairly defined path to stay within those those 4 fence posts. So, but I believe that it is enforceable and stays within each of those lines. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. That's all the questions I have. Anybody want to add to that, or?
I'm good.
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So is this, let me get back to my front page here. We're not voting on this today. Okay, so good information on that. Very good. Let's jump back then to item 2B, information discussion regarding Gila County Community Development Department 2024-2025 accomplishments and upcoming projects for the year. Randy, good morning.
Good morning, supervisors. I was going to call this State of the Union so I could be presidential, but staff thought, you know, updates and highlights were better. So as we go forward, does anyone ever wonder what community development does and who do we report to, so that you can call someone and tell them what a great job we're doing? Hopefully by the end of this work session, you'll be able to answer these questions, and probably more that you don't want to answer, but we're going to move forward anyway. So in community development, we have code enforcement, which is anything and everything. I mean, it comes down to someone doesn't like where you park a vehicle, to junk, trash, and debris, tree hanging over the fence, a fence going in. A lot of people do not talk to their neighbors anymore, and so the first thing they do is call us. We are complaint driven, but I will tell you that I have informed code enforcement that when they go out to a house, that they should drive the whole street and look for any other violations all at once, because a lot of things happen. Someone calls in and they're doing violations too, or people get upset that someone turned them in, so they want to turn in other people on the same street. So we try to alleviate that, and we drive the whole street when we go out to a violation. We basically have 2 code enforcement officers, and that does the whole county. And we get several complaints a day, and right now we're down to 1. One of our code enforcement officers just went to another department in the life. That's going to be chunk, trash, and debris. That's going to be built BWOPs, building without a permit, zoning, they built something too high. That all comes under code enforcement. There's zoning and building that is involved with correcting that, but usually our first communications with them is through code enforcement. Then we deal with building department. Building department, like I said, does everything with codes. We have the inspectors, the plan reviewers, permit staff. It's a big thing, and there has been talk in last meetings or in other meetings whether we're certified and to be able to have building officials and all that stuff. And I will tell you, between all of our staff, we have all the certifications that any building department needs. And if someone is needed to review something, that's what we do. Staff is always trying to get more certifications and to learn more. And we'll talk about other things to get done. Planning and zoning, that has to deal with, you know, setbacks, whether you're allowed to do something on your property. Everyone always says, this is my property, I should be able to build whatever I want, wherever I want, how I want, when I want. That is true to a point, but your community has rules and regulations that supervisors or prior supervisors have voted on and have decided that this is how the community is going to progress, and here's some simple rules that we follow. And so planning and zoning helps enforce that and make sure we have pre-app meetings where people can come, ask questions. So we usually open it up for most businesses. So we answer before they go and invest in the property and they think they want to build a pig farm here and it's in the middle of a neighborhood. We would let them know the hurdles that they would have to get over to accomplish that. And sometimes the answer is no. We are a completely regulatory department. All of our stuff is ordinance or codes. And we're one of the few in the county that is all regulatory. So there's a lot of yeses and nos, but there's always some gray areas in everything. As we go forward, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We get the fun of enforcing not only our ordinances and codes, state, federal, ADA, right? That's federal. And we get the fun of enforcing that as on every building as we go forward. One of the things people want to know is, who's my boss? Who do I report to? And that is the Deputy County Manager, Michael. I've had 3 bosses since I've taken over. One was Homer. One was Mr. Minlove, which I'm sure he was glad to get rid of me. And then I report to Michael. Michael gets calls on us. You know, a lot of people don't like it when we have to enforce the regulatory requirements. And so they think we're doing something wrong. Michael has supported us and moved forward and communicated that well. Here's my staff. And this staff is 14 positions. So out of 14 positions, we deal with a lot of projects. Almost every project is touched by community development in Gila County. We also do other places to help with IGAs. Right now we have 3 openings, possibly 4. So that hurts. That's a third of our staff. But we still make it work. Our staff gets together. We have monthly meetings. And I will say, please remember as we're talking about this, and I say staff, these are the people doing the work. These are the people that the customers first see when they come into the counter to the end. Just talking with staff this morning that, you know, I can't do my job unless they do their job, and the next person can't do their job if the other people don't do their job, and Gila or community development can't do their job if other departments in Gila County do their job. So it really is a team effort, but I did want you to see their names, and we have 2 offices, one in Payson, one in Globe. So we're split across the county, just like a lot of the other departments are. But we get together and move forward and talk a lot and try to accomplish a lot of things. So again, we have 13, really 14 staff members. I just got the short-term rental code enforcement approved last week. So this is being updated to 14 members. We have members that have been here in community development for over 20 years. We are active, always in training. Again, we are certified to accomplish and to be legal with anything we do. So please be aware that if someone's questioning our certifications, we have them. And we're hoping to get more. So one of the projects that we've done is digitizing our records. Thanks to the supervisors and Mr. Minlove, we got a budget 2 years ago of $500,000, and we have digitized over 2 million records. This speeds access to permits. This helps with plans, inspection notes. It improves coordinations, community efficiency. I have 67 file cabinets that used to be all filled with files in there. So if someone came in, we would have to go figure out which file cabinet it was in, file that, get that file cabinet, find the folder in that file cabinet, get that folder, pull it out, set it on a desk, roll it out, and look page by page for what they were looking for. Now we can go on digitize. We go in and we punch in a parcel number, a permit number, or anything else. It pops up. We can print it out, hand it to them, and it is just a vast improvement to what we've had. We're currently working on our final PO for that to accomplish that. We should be done, we're hoping, by January, and I will be glad to tell you, due to the staff efforts and everyone involved, we are going to be under budget. I know you guys don't get to hear that a lot, but we're going to be under budget and give you back some of that money that you had allotted for us and Mr. Love made work for us. So this also helps with decision making, right? If we can get the information quicker, we can help our clients quicker and provide better customer service. We also have just switched to Mondays.com. So if you walk into my office now, you'll see some TVs hanging on the wall. I have every plan review on this program. By the way, IT helped us a lot with this, but we have every inspection that's due out that's been called in, and it's split out in the Globe office, the Payson office, tells you where they're going, what they wanted, how they wanted it, the permit number, the owners, everything is right there on the wall. We can look at that each day. Compared to just a month ago, we literally had a spiral-bound book, calendar book, that we would write all that information in, and as you know, that can get lost or torn, or if you're using it every day, it's not the best way of keeping everything up to date. We had a whiteboard with all the plan reviews on it, and it's in a hallway, and that's great until someone walks by and all of a sudden their sleeves push up against the wall, and we lost 3 plan reviews, which means we caught up, but people don't look at it that way. So, it is a much vast difference of what we've done and what we've been able to accomplish with Michael and Mr. Minlove's support in helping us to get to I'm not going to say we're in the 21st century, we're in the 20th century.
Yeah.
And we're getting there. So that's a good thing. One of the things that we do is we communicate with other departments every Monday at 9:30 in my office. We have through teams, we have Public Works, Health Department, Wastewater, and Community Development, and we go through a litany of projects, and we talk about any problems coming up, any needs that we have, problems that we have, how one department affects another department, and this is a lot more than you would think. There's about an hour and a half that we go through Michael's on the project, or on the phone with us. We just invited finance to start showing up with us on it. This is I'm going to tell you that Michael required it of us. He wanted us to talk, which was a good thing, and helped us move together. We'd have other departments approving something, and then it would cause problems for other departments because it shouldn't have been approved, or we didn't know about it, or anything else. So this is a positive outcome for community development especially. I will not be there this Monday, but other than that, we're usually there every Monday and go through it all. This helps reduce miscommunications and improves customer service because all the departments are together. Right then and there, I can get a answer from planning and, from Public Works. Is grading drainage required on this? Wastewater, are you okay with this? Health Department, they're doing a new restaurant. You got any concerns? They see something they did on an inspection. They got to add a sink. Okay, we got to do this and this, and we can get it dealt with right there, which obviously provides a better environment for our customers to get through what they, we're regulatory. Getting through our projects are not fun. Some of the supervisors had to permit stuff, and it's not fun, but we try to make it as easy as we possibly can. We also meet every 2 weeks roughly with the county attorney. This is to ensure that community development activities comply with state statutes, our legal requirements. We don't do anything that we're not supposed to be doing. This was not the way it used to be. It used to be always what the director thought he could do, he did. And then we kind of deal with the repercussions that may or may not have occurred after that. I try to talk with, and we have Jessica, which is our representative. She's overwhelmed sometimes because we have a lot of questions, and we have weird questions. This isn't just can we do this or not do this. There's some weird questions that come up that she has to look into and deal with ARS statutes and everything that come along with that, and providing that information to us. She does it quickly and helps us so that we can better help our customers. By the way, I was told I have 2 hours, so I'm trying not to take that time. So, we have Central Square permitting portal, which is known as Track It. We've had that since, I believe, 1998. And so all of our permits, all of our information goes in there. When someone comes and applies, the permit tech takes that across the counter, make sure it's all filled out. Then they start inputting that into the Track It system, which then goes out to Mondays, which goes out to the inspections and everything else. And all the plan reviews get done that way. We also accept, I was just telling some people here, we accept electronic plan reviews now. So someone was talking about coming to the Payson office on Thursday this week, which it's not going to be an easy traffic situation in town this week, but they can email us that. They can scan all the information in, the plans, the permit application, everything. You can pay online, submit it all in. We get it submitted. We put it in the queue to get reviewed and everything else. We can call them, tell them here's what it is. They can pay online again for the permit issuing and issue it back out in electronic form. They print it out, have it on the site. They never even had to come into the office.
Is that increasing the
Yes.
people using that?
Yes, we have a lot. I'm going to say probably, we were 100% paper, and now we're probably 40% paper. Usually the paper ones, to be honest with you, are the little easy ones because they want to come in and do like 3 or 4 permits all at once instead of submitting a house. And it also helps when we do electronic reviews, we send out a needs list, right? So if there's something that's needed, more paperwork, whatever is the problem, we can send out a needs list electronically. It goes to the customer. They see it. They can print it out. They go get that information, resubmit it back to us through an email, and we're dealt with. So, as you know, we've also moved into short-term rentals, which I'm sure is everyone's favorite topic. I will tell you that our portal is up. It is running. We currently have, I'm going to say, 60 people. We're on a soft opening right now. We kind of wanted to make sure the system was working before we went out. So we've been calling people that have called us in the past, and we've had about 60 fill out the applications. It's all online. All the information, they can upload any information we need, like the insurance, the septic system, any of that stuff that they've notified their neighbors, all the requirements we had in there. And we have a company that's doing that set that up for us. They have done the AI universe, and we have about 500 to 600 short-term rental locations. So that location could have more than one, but about 600 locations right now that they've found. And come September 1st, we will send out our first letter. It will say, hey, be aware there is an ordinance here. You need to fill out your information, go to this website. Here's the cost, all that good stuff. And then 30 days later, we'll follow up with a second letter. Second letter says, hey, you haven't registered yet. We want to make sure you understand what you got to do, keep you out of trouble. And then 30 days later, we send a third letter which says, you're in trouble. I should have registered, and fines can occur if you decide not to register. So far, that hasn't. I will say this, the biggest question we're getting asked right now with short-term rentals is what's the grace period? They want to wait till the last minute to register. It seems like, I don't know that that's the case, but that's the question that a lot of them are asking is, what's the grace period? How long before I have to register? We tell them that the ordinance is in place and it's required to register. We just won't issue the fines for 90 days. And even at that time, at 90 days, then we'll have to start going out and knocking on doors and say, what's up? Why aren't you doing this? There is a chance that someone could have had a short-term rental that wasn't registered on our addresses, and that could cause a problem. And we would knock on the door and say, hey, you're a short-term rental, you gotta register. And I'll say one of the things that we get with this portal that we've created is it tells us and prints us out the page that shows the cabin and everything about it, how much it costs, when it's available. You know, it gives you all that information. So we would just staple that to our letter that says, please register. It's kind of hard to say I'm not a short-term rental when we have all that information that's provided up front. So that's hopefully will alleviate a lot of that information and arguments that come away. Yes, sir.
Is that permit an annual permit according to when they apply or according to a date on the calendar?
We currently are running annual. We were hoping to start July 1st, and that didn't happen. As you know, we went through the whole process of the short-term rental and redoing it all. Yeah. And by the time this portal got in and by the time staff was ready for it all, so we're into, more like October. So it will be annual, but at some point we'll probably prorate one and then start on a specific date so we have enough time. Season usually in the Payson area, which is a lot of them, is July. Everyone wants to come for the summer, go out to the lake, play around, do all that good stuff. Not as many people want to come here during the winter, so we're kind of getting towards the slow end. And we have met with the the assessors on short-term rentals, and we're sharing the information that we get and the list we get with them so that they'll know that this short-term rental, they got to pay their taxes and there's a special code for them and all that good stuff. We also are going to be providing this information to the sheriff. So when they go out, they'll know if it's a short-term rental or not. They'll also have their contact information. As you remember, part of our ordinance is they have to provide someone 24/7 to be able to be contacted if law enforcement or first responders need to respond to them or get someone out there to deal with a problem they're having at their house.
Are you
So-
prorating right now?
No, right now we're going annually, so that is the full fee of $225, and that'll get them a year for their next license.
A year from now or a year from July 1?
A year from now, a year from the date they register.
Okay.
So everyone likes the building department, so always is the question of how much do we do? Well, between July 1 and June of 25, we issued 2,115 permits, which averages of 8.1 permits per day of our 260 working days. We have done 5,780 inspections, which is about 11 a day. And we've done 1,648 plan reviews, which is like 6.3 a day. We're not sitting around. We're not lollygagging. Our staff is always busy. There's always someone at the counter. We're running a little bit of staffing issues here in Globe when someone takes lunch. We're having a hard time covering the window at that point, but we're trying to bring in one of the other departments that shares the building with us, that they could man it for that time frame during lunch. But we're moving. As you can see, that's quite a bit of information that goes in and out to do that. You know, we do some plan reviews on wastewater systems for the electrical part of it. We'll help with some of the electrical inspections on that. We get involved with the health department when, you know, like I said, they have to add a new sink. We send our guys out, make sure the air gap, grease traps, all that stuff is installed per the building code. And we have 3 permit techs. So you got 8.1 permits going out, you know you've got at least that many coming in. So between those 3 permit techs, they're working hard. And there are first responders. That's not even including all the walk-ins and the phone calls and the emails. We used to count those, but it was kind of a waste of time to a point. You know, when I come and tell you that we have 17,000 phone calls and 10,000 emails, it sounds like impressive numbers, but it's really not a trackable thing where the permits, inspections, and plan reviews are. So, as we've talked in the past, we are required to update our building code. We're on the 2012 building code. We are adopting the 2024 building code. I am currently been reading that. I just was talking to a third party yesterday that did the 2024 code adoptions for Payson. Well, I'm trying to get him to send me that so I can plagiarize it. I'm a big fan of plagiarizing. I have no problem at all with that. And so we're trying to make our adoptions as easily and as simple as we can to meet our other jurisdiction. Globe is on the 2021 that they have adopted last year, or it could have been the beginning of this year, but they've adopted that. I don't think they're planning on going to the 2024, but Payson is planning on going to the 2024. We're planning on going to the 2024. So there's a lot of stuff that goes in with adopting a code. As you remember, these are international codes, so they're written for almost everyone. So we can take out stuff that doesn't apply. I don't have a 90-pound snow load that we're required to design for, so I don't need that in there. We're 20 and 40, so I don't need the other design codes. We're a 90-mile-an-hour, 3-second gust wind load. Wind overrides our earthquakes here, so I don't need all the earthquake stuff, but I still have seismic of wind. So we take out the stuff that doesn't involve us and keep the stuff that we need. So we try to make it as less complicated as possible. it's still complicated. There are 13 code books that come in the international code. You got plumbing, electrical, mechanical, existing buildings, everything else. And all of those have to be modified and adopted, and it's not fun. I have a hard time, like I've said in the past, remember my kids' names or my wife's name when I learn these codes, but it is important, and especially for us to be moving forward. Insurance, you know, is a big thing. They don't want you on the older codes because things change. I mean, every time there's a natural disaster, the codes change, and they change every 3 years, and they take into consideration things that happened about the codes or the earthquakes or the wind or whatever it occurred. They try to take those things into consideration. And one thing I've talked about, and I want to make sure we understand, is people don't get to just say, we want to require different lights here because I'm the only one that sells those. That's not what the building code doesn't allow. It's a big, long process. It takes you between 3 to 6 years to have something added into a code. It has to be gone in front of a board of, there's some contractors, some architects, some engineers, and some public that vote on these things, whether they're allowed to come into the code or not. And the code specifically states it can't be specific to one vendor. Now, everyone says Simpson is used a lot, and they are. It's because they spent the money to go out and have all of their projects engineered, all of their individual hold downs and straps and everything else. They went out and paid the engineering to get that to meet what the code requires. But they're not required to be, you're not required to buy Simpson. You can buy other people's as long as they meet those requirements. So none of this is the kind of the rumor was, oh, they want you to do this because Bob got it into the code. Well, Bob can't get it into the code. It's very hard, and the final vote is by all government officials. So basically all building officials. We get into a big building, and it's really, 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 really boring. And we talk about codes for 2 weeks at a time, and then they vote, the government votes on what can be in the code. So it's not even left to private companies or anything on the final vote.
Say, Randy, do we start letting people know our code is going to change at any point so that they're not surprised by that?
We have put it out at our counters on our website, and we've talked with the contractors when they come in. I tell them that we're doing it. And the good thing about the 24 code is the 21 code kind of went pretty strict, pretty forward to the left or right, whichever side you're on, it went out there. And now the 24 code kind of scaling it back a little bit more to, now I'm not going to say make it easier, but they're bringing it back to where reality is. I mean, as we all know, buildings used to leak all day long, right? You never had to worry about how fresh your air was or wasn't because it leaked all over the place. Well, now we've made the houses so tight, we now got to cut a hole in the wall to bring fresh air in. Not all of that makes sense. So the 24 code has kind of taken that into consideration and came up with some better options than just blanket. We're just going to make it tighter and stricter. Still is going to cost more. It's still going to be a pain. Still going to require inspections. It's still going to require plan review. But it is something we need, and the insurance companies are requiring it. And as you know, we already have trouble getting insurance in some areas. So they're wanting to protect themselves of what gets built and how it gets built and what gets inspected and everything else. So there's only so much we can do with that. We're also involved, and by the way, I'm hoping to have that started, our ordinance to you guys in January of 26. That's going to be tough, but we're hoping to get there, and it's really going to be dependent on what I can get from other jurisdictions that I can plagiarize. Then we're talking a new zoning ordinance, which is greatly needed. This is about a 6 to 8 month process. We've currently got an RFP into finance. Going to get that out, and then we'll put that out and see what we can get. We have a budget that take away interpretations, that each director, each person makes their own interpretation. Well, that's great as long as they stay the same, but people change, interpretations change, things change. So we're trying to take as much out of that. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be something different that someone's going to have to make a decision on. But we're trying to take out random common interpretations. It should say you're allowed to build a 2-story house to this height in this district, period. Not a whole lot to interpret there. You always have a variance option, but variances are regulated by the state and the ARS statutes, and they say you got to meet certain requirements to get there. So if you make those, topo is one of the big things, and not self-impose. So if you BWAP it, kind of hard to say that it's causing you an issue when you built it without a permit, and that's one of the things that variances in the state take into consideration. But so we're hoping that this will be about a 6 to 8 month process. It will be a lot of public meetings, thoughts. I'm sure we'll be back here several times to bore you with zoning and thoughts and see which way we want to go on some stuff. It's a pretty big undertaking, and it's bigger than the code adoptions because zoning involves everyone who builds anything, anywhere in Gila County. So, because setbacks and heights and all that stuff come into play. Then we're working also on moving forward with a master plan. That is divided up into every jurisdiction we have. So that's Young, that's Pine, that's Strawberry, that's Globe, everywhere. The public kind of gets together and decides what they want to do and not want to do. They don't get to say nothing, but they have some input into what happens, and this gets voted on by the public during the general election. There are 6 current counties that are going through this process. Again, I'm hoping to plagiarize as much as possible and bring that in, but not everyone. We call something R1, they may call it Z2. Everyone has different numbers, so it's kind of hard to compare apples to apples to apples when you have these kind of things. We have a lake and recreation area, they may not. So there's things that come into play that will change and make us do different things, but the master plan is a big undertaking. That is about a 6 to 12 month process. So once we get the RFP out, really we'd like to be working on the zoning ordinance first, and then that kind of tells us a lot of what's going on for the master plan to move that forward. So we're hoping, and Michael's pushing me to get this done. He wants to see us get moving on it, and I would like to get it done too, but it's going to take some time to get through all these processes. Again, the goal of all of these updates is not just to update. We don't just sit around and say, hey, let's change the new code. That is not our goal at all, but consistency, future growth guidance, dealing with state and insurance and other factors that come in from other outside sources do affect us. We are currently in the process of a fee study. This is going through every one of our fees that we charge. It was started by finance, but we are involved in that. I think we've got through our scale. So they ask us how much time someone puts into a variance, how much time does someone put into an inspection, and those kind of things. And we come up with all that, and they say, okay, well, your fees, if you're gonna break even, it should be this. Then it'll come to you guys, and you'll decide whether you adopt them or not adopt them, you approve them, don't approve them. I will tell you, we are currently on the 2004 evaluation table, which I've talked with you supervisors before in the past, which says that it costs $83.64 to square foot to build a house. Anyone that's even looked at a house or bought a house in the last several years, no, it's more than $83.64. And that determines, that valuation goes towards our permit costs, which is the money we bring in to the county and put in the general fund to help support our department and everything else that the county does. So, not that we're there trying to make money, but we're trying to recoup some costs so that it's not a huge burden on the general fund to deal with people. So I don't know what the time frame is. Mary may know more better than I do. I know we're at the review process for our department. I don't know if it's going to go to several departments before it comes to you. I'm just trying to make sure that we do what we're supposed to do and get that dealt with. I will tell you that fees do not cover our costs currently, but that's a decision that supervisors will make, whether what we recoup and what we don't.
So, and please, guys, if you want to jump in, I seem to be the one that's asking most of it, but if your fees are not covering the cost in, say, an enterprise scenario, that means that the regular taxpayers of Gila County are subsidizing your department, but not using your department to build a new house or to do an add-on or anything. So they're having to pay for someone else's expansions, buildings, all of that. It's not self-supporting.
I would agree with you. There is some logic in that property taxes come in and that help cover some of that general fund stuff. But it is unfair, you would think, that if someone's lived in their house for 20 years, that they're helping a contractor build a new house and we're charging him 86 bucks a square foot and he's charging 600 a square foot. So it does seem that there's some level there, but I will tell you, most departments do not cover the 100% of their cost. 75% is a generic number that's been used because the county is still receiving money from other things for those houses. We get more money out of the tax fund. We get more money out of the sales tax. We get, things get brought in that help make that up. But yes, we are costing the general fund some money.
So if 75% is a target, where are we?
I'm going to tell you we're probably around 40%.
Okay.
And that's a decision that's still not mine. Again, that's a decision that supervisors will have to deal with in moving forward. What you want us to recoup and what you don't.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna have to say something. So my thought on fees, we shouldn't require a fee. We should make it as easy as we can for people to build the house, get your permit, build a house, and as soon as it's built, it's gonna go on the tax rolls and we're gonna collect taxes. I think that we pay property taxes for your services and all of our other department services that we have. That's what our property taxes are supposed to be meant for, is that. And so I think, in my opinion, it's just that when we collect fees or we collect this or we collect that, where's the other money going that we're saving? Because whether there's never a dull moment for you guys. You guys are busy all the time. But whether you're doing one thing or another, you're going to get paid that day.
Hopefully, yes, sir.
Yeah, you're going to get paid. You're budgeted, you're going to get paid. And that's a lot that I have an issue with at times, even as, for example, in the road department, building roads, same thing. You know, it's like, no, you guys are gonna get paid regardless of whether it's HERF dollars or whatever, you're gonna get paid. And that when the fee stuff comes up, that's always in the back of my mind. It's like, that's why I pay property taxes, you pay property taxes, we all do. We don't have a choice in it. And I just think that's part of the system that we should be living within, but my opinion.
And valid opinions. I'm not here to say any thought's the right one or wrong. Again, we're bringing that to you guys, and you're the ones that are gonna vote on what we do. And we'll follow it and move forward. So. A new ordinance that we are hopefully moving forward on, or we are moving forward on, is an RV ordinance. And I've talked with a couple supervisors on this. We might be being overridden by the state a little, and I'll get into that a little bit on this kind of thing. I mean, my understanding is the reason we're talking about an RV ordinance is to help livable spaces and letting people be in be in something, you know. So we're moving forward on the RV ordinances. There are a couple places that should be allowed, and there's a couple of places, in my opinion, we wouldn't allow them. But again, that will come to you. I'm set up for another work session in the near future to come to you and get some guidance on which way the supervisors would like to go and where they would like to go to. And we'll draw something up and get there and move forward. This is, you know, we've been 5 times, I believe, we've taken work sessions for RVs, and it's been a tough road to get down because some people have very varied opinions on RVs. Some people are for them, some people are against them. My goal is to give you enough information for you to give staff directions, and we'll help carry it out. So some of these outside sources here are the state and the federal government. A couple of the new things that have come up, and I will tell you, usually we're the last to get hit. A lot of times they go to the cities and towns and say, here, you guys do this, and then it's real easy for them to add counties on and say, all right, they did it, so you're gonna do it. And the first one is tracking a permit from the time it comes in to C of O, which sounds in theory like a really good idea to get you time frames and everything. Problem is, some people, I literally just signed a C of O for an 18-year-old house it took to get built. That counts against the way they're using this right now, because it was here last year, and in September we have to tell them everything got C of O'd. So we'll be doing that. We'll comply. But they even said this year, Jacob, your representative, came and said, well, they're using this against us to say, well, now you're not getting plans out quick enough. Well, that's not the case. If someone runs out of money and someone has a family death or other things that occur, that's nothing we have control over. They have to go to a redesign. They want to change and have a bigger bedroom. Well, this is stuff that they have in their control, and it's counting the time frame against us. So if I turn in the C of O for an 18-year-old house, that makes the county not look real great that we can't manage our building department, and that is not the case. We currently, in our ordinance, it states the building official may issue an extension with justifiable cause. Well, in the past, justifiable cause was, I want an extension, and people have taken that may out of the building official's hand and said will, and we've issued, I will tell you, we have some that we've issued 50 extensions, and that's 6 months at a time. So there's a lot of stuff that we thought we probably started because we wanted to give good customer service in the past. Sometimes that's a problem, and then it also runs into inspections, right? It says you have to have an approved inspection, you get another 180 days. Well, one guy's pouring a 1 footing at a time, and he gets 180 days every time he gets an approved footing. And I have one house that we did 96 inspections. On a normal house, we do 16. So from beginning to end, 16, that's kind of how permits are planned for costs and stuff. And we were at 96 because of the way the individual did it. And that goes back to some of those ordinances because they were so generic that that interpretation was what it was. And so we're trying to take that out of there where be more kind of a thing where you get a permit, you get 2 years to be done. And, you know, we can go, there's ways, and we'll be back here to talk with you to see what your direction is for that. And one of the things that I was just saying that the states might be trumping our RV thought is this ADU on residential property. So it is passed, and by January of 26, I'm supposed to have a new ordinance that allows ADUs everywhere.
What's an ADU?
Additional dwelling unit, so
Okay.
additional house. And you can allow, there's minor requirements, but you can have up to 3 on your property. So you could have a house and 3 short-term rentals. We call them ADUs or however that ends up, but we don't know yet. But they've turned around and changed our setbacks also for those requirements. We require 7 and 9 feet on the sides, and that is to allow a vehicle to go around your house and get to the garage, because we require the garage in the back, or we used to. And so these ADUs, the state's coming in and says, in their version of how to help with housing, is we allow these additional dwelling units to be placed on people's properties. And it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing, and you can't limit it to, it doesn't have to be a family member. It, you know, it used to be an ADU, had to be a related member of the family. None of that is occurring now. The ADU is an ADU, and you can rent it out, and you could have four total on your property, and we don't get a say. So I'm working on an ordinance now to bring to you, but it's going to be based on basically what the state says we have to do. And it was signed into law by Hobbs. So it's there, and it's approved, and we're going forward. Yes, sir.
So what's the specific ADU? I mean, what would classify as an ADU? Are we talking RVs? Are we talking about Connex boxes turned into living quarters? Or, you know, there's a multitude of.
There is a vast difference. So dwelling unit is defined by the building code. Got to have a living area. Got to have a sleeping area. You got to have a food prep area. You got to have sanitation. So that's not real hard to get there, to be able to do that. But I mean, you can turn a bathroom sink into a food prep area. You can turn a bathroom into sanitation. Some people fall asleep in there. That's a sleeping area. I mean, a living area is somewhere that you can sit down and live. They don't have a definition of living area, but that's a requirement. So, yes, it can be all of those, I think. I don't know that it could be the RV. So the one thing the manufacturers of state has said of the RVs say this cannot be a permanent dwelling. So there's a couple of reasons. One, RVs do not meet building codes. If you've ever been in an RV, you know those egress windows aren't made for me. I'm going to get out. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to get out, but it may not be through the window they want me to get through. And the electrical is designed to meet the automotive electrical requirement, so it doesn't meant to carry 110, 240 volt electrical wiring, where building codes do. And the third thing that comes in there is RVs are built to guidelines. So today's guideline, tomorrow's a different guideline. You can change those pretty easily, where a building code is not changeable. They only come out every 3 years. So, not saying they're good or bad. It's just that's kind of the main differences. And you notice they don't have a smoke alarm inside your bedroom and outside your bedroom like it is in a house. But real facts are, in an RV, smoke alarm goes off, it's probably waking everyone up in the RV. Their square footage limited. So a tiny home that would meet an ADU, I think we can get it down to about 320 to 370 square feet to be able to meet those requirements, because there's minimum room sizes that the code says. And an RV can be up to 400 square feet. So there could be a possibility there. All right, we're getting to the end here. I've been asked this by supervisors and people all day, every day. So, when does the required work require an engineer stamp? Code is prescriptive. So the code takes into consideration how things are normally built. So they say if you build it this way, you have a shear wall at this size starting within this far from the corner, you have windows this side for egress, you have a box like 35 square feet, all that good stuff. You can build a house out of the code book and need no engineering. Absolutely, it can be done every day, any day, and we like those. Those plans don't have to be stamped off. What happens is when your house requirements get outside of the code book, right? So the code book tells my plan reviewer how to calc out tributary load of a footing. So that's how much this soil is going to hold the footing. It got to be this much to put it over this much area. Tells me how much I can hold. Well, that's if you space it this far apart and you do this and you do this, which is all written in the code. We can calc that out and tell you it's okay. We can tell you it's code compliant. You start having a cantilever over 4 times. So you have a deck that's tied into the house, but we have a cantilever sitting out there. I have no way of calculating that. You want a house that you put a window at the corner. I have no way of calculating that. You have different footing spaces. You want to have a 70 square foot or 70 feet long living room with no columns in it. I don't have a way of calculating that per the code. Mine calcs down to 35 square feet. And it's not as easy as, oh, we'll just double it and it's 70 and you should be able to say it's okay. No. Once you get outside that 35 square feet, now you're adding those loads up and that flex is in the middle, and we're adding more weight into the dead area of a beam or a column. So once we get outside of the code book, our hands are tied. Now that also comes when you BWOP something, built without a permit. You pour a footing, I don't see it, inspector doesn't see it. There's nothing in the code book that says I get to guess what still's in there, not in there, right? It doesn't say, I can dig alongside it and tell you how wide it is, but I can't see through it. You can't x-ray it. That's a big expense, and you got to clear off a big enough area for the radiation cobalt to use to be able to get through a 2-foot piece of concrete for a footing. Now we can come up with ideas, but the problem is also when you have engineered products. So we have a house that got stamped, right? They wanted something and they designed it and they stamped the plan, set it in, we approve it. Well, now they want to come and do add-ons, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to get a stamp. They don't want to get engineering. Well, I don't know how, if I had his calcs, which we only keep for a year, that's per the state requirements for our archives. But if he built it, the engineer built it this way, he can pull loads from across here down a beam over and make this corner bigger so it works better for the layout, all that good stuff. Well, now when we're adding on to that engineered product, We don't know how to modify it because we don't know what he did, how he did it, how he made it work to carry all those loads. So that's a big question that comes up is when is engineering and when is license plans have to be stamped? And I'm gonna tell you 99% of the time when you get outside the code, or you do stuff where we don't see it. I mean, I don't think you guys want me to send my inspector out and say, look through the drywall and look at the electrical somehow and has x-ray vision and say it's all okay, and then something happens later down the line and we're liable because we signed off on it. I tell my inspectors, we don't see it, we don't sign it. Now, if they want to take the drywall off and let us look at it, we'll do that all day long, help them out any way we can. But if they've already put up the wall, taped and textured and painted, the odds of them wanting to open that up to let us see the stuff, and that's where we tell them the engineer can stamp that piece of paper and he is now liable. And we take that and we scan that into our permit and we put that all in there that he said it was okay, and he carries that E&O insurance to cover us and get us down the road. So the other thing that I wanted to say is, when is a permit required? No one likes permits. I don't like permits, okay? But it states in the code, in section 105.1A of the 2012, and it's the same for the other ones. Any owner or authorized agent who intends to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, demolish, or change the occupancy of a building or structure, or to erect, install, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, convert, or replace, and then it gets into electrical and mechanical systems in there. So basically, there's very few stuff that doesn't need a permit. It's in the first 7 pages of the code. It tells you specifically what is not required. You know, swimming pools that don't have a certain depth, don't have a certain amount of gallons. Water tanks that we've put up for fire, 5,000 gallons can go in there as long as it's a 2-to-1 ratio. Now you start adding the electrical to run the pumps, that may need a permit for the pump. And we've worked with Carl, so we got all this worked out. But I mean, there are things in there that don't need to be. If you could put a cover over your deck, if it comes back, it's not over 54 inches and it kicks back to the wall or beam of the house, there's ways to get around stuff. But I mean, I'm good, bad, or indifferent. A lot of things need permits. And that's what we're here to ensure that people follow the rules for the areas that they're in, that you and our prior supervisors have voted on and tasked us with enforcing. And with all that, I've talked enough. So I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Randy. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I didn't chime in because you were on quite a roll. And by your roll, I can tell that you eat, sleep, and live your job, because it just went smooth. Thank you for the presentation. Code enforcement, the process of our code enforcement is that our code enforcement goes out and see if there's a violation. Then they tag it. They got 30 days to clean it up. If they don't, then they're summoned to a hearing officer, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then after that, if that hearing officer finds these people, then we turn it over to a collection agency, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And we got that approved yesterday.
So we do now have a
Collection agency.
collection agency. Well, I'm very glad of that, because that's the only assurance that we have that supports what our code enforcement find out. Yeah, because we use it for not only blight, but we use it for building without a permit, for our health department, for animal control. We use it for everything.
Yep, junk, trash, and debris, everything.
So very good, and thank you, Finance and Procurement, for getting that out, because it's sure detrimental for us to not have that. And thank you, And congratulations for working with IT to get the updates done to our planning and zoning. I mean, I walked through it with you the other day up there. Filing cabinets disappear, which is great. People can look things up instead of digging through paperwork. Also, too, by having the TVs going on with our complaints, with our building permits and things, now you have just collected Payson to Globe. So office here in Globe, they get a permit, they can enter it, you know it's there, it's in order, it's on, doesn't have to wait for the commute up there. So my hat's off to you, thank you very much, and I'm glad that all that's working, and then you get track it going and things of that nature. So thank you very much for working with the process to make us a lot better at what we're doing. So thank you very much for that.
And I want to say that it's not me, it's my staff. I have a fantastic staff, and they do a lot of things and do a lot of hours and don't spend a lot of time doing anything other than this during their work hours.
Okay, thank you and your staff. And then, you know, your team meetings, I think that's great. You know, because then that way everybody's on the same page. The health department's on the same page as the planning and zoning and things of that nature. To me, you know, team is together, everybody achieves more. So I think it's great that you have those meetings. That's why I have meetings with all of you guys, because it just makes things work better if everybody knows and is working on the same page. So thank you and your team for that. The permits, you know, we're living in a, you know, in a fast and changing world. It changes real fast. So then we got to come up with a short-term rental ordinance. And then now we're working on, you know, something about RVs. I think that the work that you and your staff put in to the short-term rentals was a great thing. It's working. We can adjust it a little bit, but it was necessary because it was happening in our area. And so are RVs. You know, RVs are happening in our area. It's a recreational area. Some people don't like me to say that, but it is. I mean, it is a recreational area, and I get a lot of complaints that people are living in an RV, and so they're paying land taxes. And somebody right next door is living in paying taxes on a $250,000 home. Well, the people in the RVs, because they bought property, you know, and they put an RV, they're up for 6 months out of the year or whatever, or a motorhome, they're paying land taxes, but they're still using our fire department, our 911, our sheriff's department, and everything else. So the taxes aren't getting spread evenly, and we're a county that lives on 3.5% of our tax base. So I hope that in the future, and if there's anything I can do to help with an ordinance for these RVs, or now mini homes, or whatever, truck beds, whatever somebody may turn into a living deal, we need to have an ordinance on that, because they're requiring all of the county entities but paying land taxes. You know, that's a big shift when our fire department, rural fire departments, are on many calls, and there's very few homes that are paying for them to run the calls. They could be better staffed, they could have better equipment if our land was taxed properly for what it's being used for. So thank you very much for working on that. And department workload, when you went through that, I thank you and your staff very much. Because you are handling a lot of things, and then you brought up complaints. Believe me, I know you spend as much time on complaints on the phone over little things that don't matter as you do pushing to get permits done. Because I get a lot of the complaints that you do, or most of the complaints you do, because they not only call you, then they call the supervisor to be sure that you heard their complaint. So anyway, I know that you and your staff deal with an awful lot of complaints as well. Right, you know, having to accept the 2024 codes, that's for insurance, because if we didn't upgrade in our codes, then insurance would blanket Gila County and increase it because we don't keep up with the building codes. And so, you know, that's for us to have, well, I guess we didn't have to, but it helps the entire county as far as insurance goes on homeowners insurance. Randy, great presentation. Thank you very much. And that's all the comments that I have.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Randy, thanks. Long presentation, and you guys do a lot of work. You know, you cover a lot. And even though there's a lot of it I don't agree with, it is, that's where we're at. And I work with you guys a lot on different things, so, but thank you for doing this. This is good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. When I mentioned earlier, you did too, that haven't seen you for a while. And that's a good thing, because for the last 3 years, 4 years, you know, a lot of people are concerned about something. Either they feel like your department is overreaching or something, and they've made a mistake, either purposeful or not. And I've noticed an attitude of trying to work through those rather than just say, you know, tear it all down, let's start all over, and here's your fines. You guys really do, I think, an exceptional job of working with things that people may not have understood and seem like, you know, and up in my district, there's a lot of that. I don't know why, I guess I'm lucky, but there is a lot of things that were done decades ago or whatever that people are now having to work through that they didn't know, and you guys, I think you do a great job. And so there's businesses that start up and they think they can do a bunch of things, and then they do it, and then anyway.
Yes, sir.
I want to see people succeed, and I think your department really works hard to make sure that that happens.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I may be, are we finished with this? Randy, again, thank you. I just wanted to, Mr. Chair, let everybody know that our Mayor Globe has been here for our next agenda item. Al Gomeros, Paul Jepson is City Globe manager. We have Linda Neto and councilman and staff here, so I just wanted to recognize them that they're in the audience.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I do see a lot of new faces, and that's great. And that'll be our next item. Okay? Then let's just move forward to that one.
I'm going to interrupt really quick. We lost Payson. They're having some bad internet connections up there, but we're still up and running. We're okay. But we just lost Lisa. She was the only one up
Okay,
there. So
all right. Thank
just
you for
wanna
that.
let you
All right. Well, our last item actually is a 2D, information discussion for concept and design for the Mickelson co-work space and business incubator. Joseph.
Chairman, Board of Supervisors, we're here today thanks to a strong partnership with the City of Globe, and we want to begin by emphasizing and recognizing Supervisor Humphrey, their representatives who are with us, as well as the Board of Supervisors for your vision and guidance in helping move this project forward. Their leadership, along with yourselves, and support has been essential in making this facility possible. We also have GH2 architects with that specializes in design projects like this, in holding their historical value while enhancing and creating the vision. And as the owners of the facility, we're proud to see it take shape as a business incubator, a hub dedicated to supporting entrepreneurs, fostering innovation, and strengthening the economic future of Globe and the surrounding region. We're pleased to announce that this project has reached a significant milestone in the design process. GH2 Architects will be presenting shortly to walk us through the proposed design, space utilization, and overall vision for the business incubator. This design has been shaped by preliminary input we received from the Board of Supervisors and other valued stakeholders, and it reflects both the guidance and aspirations provided earlier in the process. As we move forward, we look forward to your continued guidance and input to ensure the facility is developed in a way that truly serves our community and delivers long-term value. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions on the front end before I hand it over to GH2 for the presentation and overview of the facility.
Okay, thanks for asking that. Supervisor Humphrey.
I don't have many questions because of our monthly meeting. You help keep me updated on things going, so I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Supervisor Humphrey.
That's okay, that's okay.
Let me change.
I think, I'll just wait till after the presentation for anything, Joseph, yeah.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, so will I. Thank you. Good
Again,
morning.
GH2.
Robert? Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Robert Wadsag. I'm an architect and principal with GH2 Architects.
And I'm Luz Gutierrez, interior designer with GH2.
We're very excited for this project. We've done a number of small projects with the county and Joseph's team. We were really excited for this opportunity to come in and help the county and the city of Globe with this potential project. As Joseph mentioned, at this point, we have completed our schematic design. So I'll kind of just quickly run through, how we got here and what our next steps are before we go into the presentation. But we've been working with both stakeholders, with the county, and with the city of Globe, going through this process to identify really what the needs are up until this point. We've spent about 8 weeks, starting in early July or June, to get to the point we are today. We've turned over the deliverable for schematic design for the business incubator and the Michelson project. And from here, with approval, we'll move quickly into design development phase for the next 6 to 8 weeks before shooting complete documents for this project at the end of the year. So quickly, just kind of overview of some of the goals that we've established and put together with help of stakeholders. This is really supposed to be a community building space. We are shooting to foster and maintain the economic welfare of the historic district of Globe, Arizona. Really, this space is about creating connections. Flexibility and mobility are key in this space. It's an existing building, a lot of updates that need to happen to really make it, once again, a vital economical resource for the city of Globe and the county. Looking to maximize rentable space, make thermal, acoustic, and visual comfort improvements, and preserve and celebrate the historic features and the opportunity for social interactions. So one of the first things we like to do with all stakeholders is really to get that buy-in, try to establish what the look and the feel of the space are going to be, establish really what's driving us, and some of those phrases or words that we came up with working with stakeholders is to connect, to revive, and to embrace. Really, the idea with this is a very unique one. Business incubators are popping up all over the country and all over Arizona. We've done work with Mesa. We know Sholo has just put out an RFQ for a business incubator themselves. So this is a pretty unique and growing entity in Arizona and across the country. So that the idea is with this embrace is really the county and the city are looking to embrace some people who are maybe on the cusp of an idea. They don't really have the means of a full-blown storefront. They want to try out an idea. They want to try out a business. That's really what the idea behind a business incubator is. It gives them that flexibility for a short-term trial of their idea, and it's just offers that resource with the community. The Revive, obviously, this the Michelson building, formerly part of the grocery store chain, has sat vacant for a number of years now. Different businesses coming and going, but really has once taken over by the county is now being reimagined as this space. And this connection, obviously, we're looking to connect to the community in a greater way, serve some of those smaller, less represented people in this way. So you'll see here some of the layouts that we've really been developing with the stakeholders. This is a two-story structure. The first floor is really kind of that public engagement side where you're going to have a storefront, you're going to have people coming in off the street, really kind of that really outreach arm of the space. And through this work, we have a retail space at the front of the building that fronts the street that allows some type of selling to take place with a business that comes in there. There's also flexible conference rooms and training spaces so that if someone wants to come in and give a little presentation, someone from out of town wants to do a presentation, do some training, you'll have resources for that There's a kitchen there to help serve some of that as well. So if you have catered food that it needs to be brought in for some of those events, you have that there at the first floor. Restroom upgrades necessary throughout the building along with the rest of the systems. But moving back to the building, we also have a need for a podcast studio. This is for those people that love public speaking more than I do to come in and record themselves and do it across the web. Employee offices for space. Employee offices on the ground floor for the group that actually runs the center. That'll carry out the leases and work with the local economy or local businesses on setting up and using the space. There is access to the second floor by existing stairs on the west side coming up the street. We were going to replace the stair at the back of the building to give access up to the second floor, creating also an opportunity for what we call learning stair, another space for social engagement at the back of the building. And then also to ensure we have accessibility to the second floor, the introduction of an elevator, public elevator at the front of this building. The second floor is really more about some private office space as well as some public in the open office work area. The private offices probably would likely be on monthly terms, where the open office could be a daily use type of setup. So we have seven office spaces in here, including 2 anchors, restrooms for that staff, small conference space, as well as a kitchenette. So with that, I'll turn it over to Luce to talk about some of the finishes we're looking at.
Yeah, and just to briefly introduce you to some of the finishes, again, taking in consideration the traffic that we're expecting to have in the building, and how are we going to incorporate some of the historic features in the finishes. Most of the finishes that we're going to use are going to be very neutral, so we really are trying to embrace the
history and
it's a timeless design. So we are trying to embrace the preservation of the history of the building, but also introducing the modern features into it. So in the first floor, you see we have a concrete finish throughout the building. Also taking in consideration the acoustic treatments that we're going to need, it's where we are planning to introduce carpet tiles in some of their training conference rooms and private offices. And on the second floor, we also have some LVT going in that main corridor where we expect it's going to be having most of the traffic in that second level. And then again, for acoustical treatments, we're having carpet tiles in the private offices and conference rooms.
At the interior, we obviously will have some upgrades we need to make to the exterior of the building. While it's in a historic district, it is not a historically contributing building to that district, so we do have some flexibility with what we can do on the facade. We are looking at upgrading windows. I think right now there has been a full demo of existing interior partitions as well as some of the vinyl windows that had been there, so there would be need for new windows to go in with that improvement. So this is kind of the aesthetic that the stakeholder team has looked at and prefers. There'd be a new eyebrow canopy out of the front of the building to help with some of that space identification and signage for the space. Some street furniture and tables for people. If there's a restaurant in there, they could come and then sit down and enjoy that outdoor space. And then introducing canopies, fabric canopies, if not metal canopies, to those windows for some of the solar considerations.
So this is the first view as you enter the proposal for the building. This is the entry where you have a reception desk, again, where you're going to be able to check in if you're using part of the workstations on the second level, or if you have like a conference in the training room. Here you see what we call our main feature of the building is the elevators, how to make that future for some of the historic elements. So we're thinking on keeping some part of like the copper elements to bring memory of like the copper mining, being a copper mining town, into the finishes. You also see the view of the catering kitchen, or what we call, this is more of a social kitchen. So people will be able to check in, grab a coffee, go upstairs, get their work done, but also have the opportunity to connect with other people. And then this is a view on that back end of the building where we have the learning stairs. Again, just another opportunity to embrace the community. We have been presenting the idea of artwork or mural, where we're thinking this could also be opportunity to showcase some of the local artists in this wall. And then some other features that we want to also show here is the copper ducts on the ceiling. Again, how are we going to enhance what is existing on the building? We're trying to expose all of the structural elements in the building, not to hide them, but again, also taking into account the acoustical and performance of the building. So we do have acoustical baffles in that area where, again, it's another opportunity to bring more social interaction in this space.
And now the song. With that, we welcome any questions.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Very good. So Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, thank you very much. The slides help a lot of seeing things, and you know, my first deal is when I saw all the blue. I thought, well, how about copper? But then you get to the inside, and you know, then you bring that copper out, which I think is a great thing. This has been a vacant building for a long time. It's been an ongoing project for a while. It's great to partner with the City of Globe to get this going forward. I think it's a great project. I've built 2 businesses by myself and been self-employed, and it would have been great at that time to have something like this to help get started, because starting a business isn't easy, and it takes a lot of momentum and a lot of drive. And so having a place like this, I think, will help our young entrepreneurs and encourage our young people to start to work to create a business to help our community. So thank you very much. I think the designs look great, and it did look like it used most of the space. So thank you very much.
Supervisor Klein.
Great presentation. Good to see it's come this far. How many folks will this be able to hold?
So it'll vary. Obviously, with the ground floor space, since it's flexible in the way it is, you can have small gathering groups of up to 20 people, most likely, for some of those trainings and presentations. The second floor, the office spaces, you have private offices, and you also have the public. So it'll be a flexible space there. Those private offices can hold 2 to 3 people themselves if need be, and in the open offices, it really just depends on the use of day.
Cool. Well, it's going to be a good addition, so thank you both for being here and doing this.
Yeah, thank you. So I can see we have sort of like kitchen facilities on both floors. And then what about, so when you get up to the second floor, that's more purposeful. You're going to an office, you're going to do something there. And then is there like copy machine areas or anything like that for doing that? I don't notice that.
Yeah, they just, most of the furniture we have in there is just for space planning. Something like that to incorporate would definitely be a good idea.
Yeah, okay. And then remind me, are these offices intended to be permanently rented or only temporarily rented?
Mr. Chairman, they can be as long as a tenant would like them to be. It's intended to be permanent, to have them leased out individually to whoever would like them. Does that answer the question?
Okay, yes, and so who would be our intended clients in this building that would rent continuously?
Just an example, and Ms. Audinetto could maybe answer better, but I know that Resolution Copper, they do not currently have an office in Globe Miami, have expressed interest of having one of those office spaces for Resolution Copper in town.
Okay.
So that type of business, or small businesses.
Okay.
I know in a space in Denver where we just recently opened an office, we rented from a similar space as our office was being prepared. And so it's to get that post office box established, it's to get that address and to have that space. So it can be short term, monthly, 6 months, 2.5
to a year.
Okay, great.
I will add that the rents and the revenues from the tenants are expected to pay for the operating costs of the facility.
Right, we're partnering with the Town of Globe on this, and so today, are we saying we like it and giving you direction that way, or what are we exactly doing today, other than just the presentation, which was great? But it's a concept at this point, though.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Chairman, Board of Supervisors, we're just looking for feedback. So no decision to be made, of course, but any kind of feedback or constructive criticism, that's what we're really open to. And to be able to share this information with you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I would look from comments from you as a board, just in this open discussion of if there's something that is alarming to you, then please make a comment. But if there's there's nothing that is saying, we're headed in the right direction, then that's, I guess, what I would look for.
Mr. Chair, for me.
Yes, sir.
You know, I think it looks good myself, you know. It's the first time, obviously, I've seen the layouts and all that, but I'd be interesting to hear from Globe and see what they think on this too, really. And they got to see the presentation as well, or maybe they already have seen it, I don't know.
How about we call you up if we want to ask some more from you, and I'll invite a representative or more from Globe if they'd like to come up.
Mr. Chairman, I'd start with the mayor, if we could.
Okay.
Mayor, did you want to come up first, or you want to defer?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Supervisors. Yeah, we're excited for this project also. We're looking forward and have looked forward for the partnership with the county on this. And Linda and her staff has more information on it. They've been the lead on it and moving it forward. So I think I'll turn it over to them to explain their part of it. But we appreciate it very much.
Good morning or afternoon.
Afternoon now.
Good to see you all. This has been an exciting project to work on, and we've seen it. We've been along through the process with the county staff from day one and with GH2. So it's been such a fantastic and inclusive process to be a part of. And what's really driving it is what does our business community need? And when we took a tour of Cohoots, which is a co-work space in the Valley back in, I believe it was in 2018, and it was an aha moment. This is what Globe, this is what Gila County could absolutely take and utilize to help grow our small business community. And it's not just young entrepreneurs that we have coming. We have many who are looking for their second and third careers. So we also have programming going on right now called Start, Grow, and Revive. And we have over 20 new participants. These are not business people that already have a business. These are people who are looking to grow a business. So we really love what we're seeing with the design. It truly does meet our needs, and we have been working for over 2 years on that business plan on how to sustain the programming and, of course, keep the lights on. So that's with daily passes, weekly passes, monthly, and hopefully yearly tenants that do take those anchor spaces upstairs. And we do have a list that we have been keeping of those who are interested in this type of an amenity. And as we do more and more infrastructure work, not just Globe or Gila County, but also the hospital, we're seeing a lot of contractors come into the community and they need a home base. This would be an awesome opportunity for them to have that, hold team meetings, the flexible conference space downstairs that you see. Our goal is to maximize that so that can hold trainings for all of our organizations. So the upstairs being more of the more typical office space, but it has the kitchen area, both floors do, because that's really an area that attracts people. Everybody loves to come and get a drink, have food. And so that's where the collaboration happens. And so we're looking forward to seeing this presented to our city council, and we hope that we can see you there on September 9th for the same presentation and continue our next steps to opening day. But Melissa is going to cover a little bit of the, the day-to-day operations and what that looks like.
Okay.
Good afternoon, supervisors. I am so excited for this. It's going to be such a flexible space that will really work for our business community to start growing and building and really growing off of each other. There's going to be a way to card in, so it's going to be available to our community 24/7, and it will have security included, everything like that. And it's going to be a place for mentorship, new businesses to grow faster, stronger, grow up with each other. So if you have a day pass, you can come in and have a hot seat, so you can sit down at a computer, use the printer. That's not available really anywhere else right now, so it's something that's needed in the community.
I would say now that our community college is up and going and we hope we'll have an SBDC presence, the college was always kind of far out, but we hope to offer an office space for the SBDC representative here in Globe and have that constant presence there, as well as the IDA and the Southern Gila County EDC, and as well as city economic development staff. So it truly is a hub of business support, both with just answering the day-to-day questions. How do I get a business license? But also, I'm kind of interested in opening a business. How can I get financing? So we hope to have that we will have that information there at hand so that we can be, again, that hub for our small businesses. So thank you again for this incredible opportunity. We really look forward to that opening day, which we hear is in spring of 27.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey, anything?
No, I've pretty much gone through mine.
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you for bringing this up, Joseph.
Yeah, I'm encouraged too, so it's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it? All right. That's it. Okay. Well, we did pretty good today. Call to the public. Anyone here in Globe or Payson or the internet? Now, how many do we have today?
We're at 63.
63. Thank you.
Last week we were at 174.
We were at one time 174. All right. That's good. Is that a record?
That was Randy's presentation.
Could have been, yeah. Okay, so let's go to our reports. Manager Menlove.
Mr. Chairman, just real briefly, I want to touch base on, as you've noticed, the construction going on out here in the parking lots. Appreciate the being unsettled and the disruption of that work. It's necessary. It's been a huge liability and risk to Gila County. Our county's insurance pool has been for years strongly directing us to get that work done. So thank you for the flexibility of all who work here and all who use this building for courts and different things. Scheduled for 6 to 8 weeks, so could be up to a couple months that we're doing that work. Appreciate all the flexibility from those that are involved and impacted by this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
Coming up, I'll attend a District 2 project team meeting on Wednesday the 27th. And I say that pretty often on the team meetings, but in those team meetings I meet, like on the 27th I'll meet, well, Troy's not here. I meet with the Public Works Director, Alex Hendrick with Engineering, Tom Goodman Engineering, Aaron Cottage with the Landfill Director, Steve Williams, Project Manager, Jeffrey Despain, Floodplain, Wendy Boss Engineering, Joe McDonald Roads, and Shannon Boyer is also in that meeting. And what we're going to discuss on that meeting is projects in District 2, ongoing, just because like I said in the other meeting, if I'm going to be responsible for the outcome, I want to be part of the project. So I get updates with that meeting. We're going to look at Vertical Heights Road, Town of Miami Trail Study, Golden Hills Nursery Turn, Gysela Road, Golden Hill Project, final phase, Monroe Street, Russell Gulch, Russell Road, landfill updates, NRC Watershed Flood Protection Program, Campaign Creek, Estates Culverts, West Street, top of Golden Hill, grant opportunities, Cottonwood Lane, updates like on the Michelson Building, when I meet with, as we go forward on these meetings. And so a lot of these stuff is things that you guys will be voting on and someday. And so, you know, you're welcome to get with staff to maybe check out some of these projects because some of them will be in front of you at some point in time.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
I don't have a whole lot, just bring you up snuff on some fires. I think most of our fires now have kind of calmed down. Billy Fire looks like it's about out. I think Washington Park is looking good now, as far as I know. The fires on the San Carlos and White Mountain Apaches, I think is pretty well wrapped up. So hopefully we're done with fire season till next year. And other than that, that's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we're still getting ready for my Washington trip. I'm not going to be able to make that September 9th date. I'll be in Washington. Big woohoo for that. And I wanted to mention that I did get a card, a thank you card from Katie's Closet, because we all participated in that. He says, I want to formally thank the three of you for once again providing our clothing nonprofit with funding. The $3,000 will be of great use to us as we buy new shoes, new socks, new underwear, new clothing outfits for marginalized children in our area. The fact that you took the time to help us meet the needs of needy children in the Rim Country speaks highly of your care for the underdog. Take care, and many thanks for helping us in the very concrete manner assist the children in our area. That's Bob Horn, so I thank him for that. Don't get a lot of thank you notes, but we do try and help people in a lot of ways. So we had an office lunch last Tuesday at the TCM, which was nice. It was just kind of a group of the employees putting that together. Did go to Veterans Coffee Time last Tuesday. That's always good. And I was able to have a phone Zoom conference with a lady, Dana Shaw, and she's the government liaison for Grand Canyon University. So, and they're kind of a big thing. They're the biggest private university in the United States, I understand. And they've really grown exponentially over the last 20 years or so. And so just exploring the concept, the idea of whether or not their presence in Gila County at any location might be a benefit for the economy and the people. So we're just talking about it. That's about it. So I want to thank everybody today. It was really a good meeting, a lot of information. I think we did a lot today again. So I look forward to that. Next week, I think we do have one on the next Tuesday. Is that correct? Next Tuesday? Okay, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, then we are adjourned.